Could you please tell us your name and the official name of your building or property on the City of Salmon Arm's Heritage Register that we're talking about?
Well, my name is James Bowlby, and Bowlby, which is spelled Bowlby, Haydock House.
Yeah.
On 6th Street.
So are you an owner or a former owner?
Former owner.
Former owner. And how long were you associated with that property?
Let's see, I owned it. I'm not thinking at all. Let's see. My daughter was born in 1981, so that was the year we moved. So I owned the house before that. So it was 1975, maybe, I owned it, from 75 to 81.
Okay. And what had initially drawn you to that property?
Well, it was quite a large property when I bought it. There were 3 lots, which if you look at the picture that's in the history of Salmon Arm, it was actually an acreage, an large orchard that was attached to the property. And Mr. Haycock, I'm not sure of his first name, but he was a real estate owner. And I think he bought that property, with the idea of developing. Because after he bought it, then it was subdivided into city lots.
Okay. So it was like the size that was appealing?
Yeah, for me, the size was appealing. And the house itself had some really nice architectural features. There were the panel doors between the rooms, and there were the target corners on the door frames.
Okay.
And it had a nice large sort of family kitchen, which was appealing.
What was it? The panels on the doors you were saying, the target panels?
I don't know if you know doors of that period. They had panels there were about 4 panels running across each door.
Oh, okay.
And they had a trim around them. And I actually painted some of them so that the trim stood out.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and then they had those target corners on the door frame.
Did you make any other changes to the house while you were there?
No, we didn't.
No?
We just enjoyed living there. Whereas I had near the end in 1980, I had to rent the house out because I tried to sell it and it didn't sell.
Mm-hmm.
And a young couple rented the house, and she asked if she could wallpaper the kitchen. So that was before that, we left most of the wallpaper that was on the walls.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we took the wallpaper off the bedroom and painted them. Okay. They were lath and plaster.
Mm-hmm. So the house was structurally in good condition while you were living there?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
And there was a story that we heard from people in a house down the street who had lived there for years. And there used to be a veranda around the house. It had like a veranda around 3 sides of the house. And there were, I would think, there were double doors going off the living room onto the veranda. But they had put windows in when we bought it. And the lady said or the person who lived up the street lived in a house that had been floated down the lake.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know about that house.
No.
On the corner of 6th Street and Auto Road. Old Outer Road. And anyway, she said that there was a day when suddenly the whole veranda collapsed.
Oh.
They had rot, I guess, underneath. Rot had set in. Anyway, the veranda collapsed, and so they took it down. I bought the house. It just had a little porch on the front and a little porch at the back.
Okay. Do you know when the veranda collapsed?
Do I know?
Like what year that would have been around?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I mean, the house was there in 1906, I think.
Yeah.
The picture in the, so it could have been anywhere from 1906 to probably about 1950.
Okay. And so this one, it had an addition on it early on, right? It was an L-shaped addition, I think.
Yeah, the house was L-shaped.
Okay.
I don't have any information about that.
Okay.
Addition.
But it was fairly seamless looking?
It was seamless? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It had an interesting cellar. The stairs going down to the cellar or the basement were very narrow, and you could see on the wall that the original house had been log construction.
Okay.
In that section, anyway, and maybe that was part of the L shape. Part of it was, was an original cabin or house.
Yeah.
That was a log house, a log cabin. And then they added on, and everything else, like the bedrooms and the living room area, they were all lath and plaster.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. And you could also see that the basement walls were constructed of just rocks and plaster and cement or whatever they used for concrete to hold the rocks in, to make the walls. I'm not being very descriptive, but anyway,
No,
they were just rocks and plaster.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it was not a poured concrete basement.
How large were the rocks they were using for that?
Almost, like if you spread your hand, they were that size. They weren't big rocks.
Okay.
They were rocks rather than stones, if you think that way. I don't know.
For sure. Okay, so the next question is, what words of wisdom would you share with people thinking about taking on a building like that, a heritage building?
Well, I thought it was really sad that after I owned it, the three lots got split up, and there were houses built on either side. So it just sort of made it a little house in the middle of a city block. Whereas before it had sort of a nice feel because it was a side, like the front door is on the side of the house, and on that side of the house was one extra lot, and there was a big willow tree there, and the whole front of the house was separated from the street by a lilac hedge. Anyway, so I think anybody buying that kind of a house should be aware of its historical heritage and that it should be preserved. And I think they should think of that when they buy it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not very many of those larger lots left in the inner city area, I guess. It's not. Oh. Yeah.
And that one is sort of lost unless you know where to look. And I think when the person that told me about the veranda collapsing said that there used to be trim around the top of the house of some sort on like a metal, a metal, almost like lace or something. That makes fabricated.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what
Yeah.
you're talking about. Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, but that was gone when I bought it.
Okay. Okay, so my last question is if you could describe the house in one word, what would it be?
Well, it was a very cozy house.
Cozy.
It had that, there was a good furnace in it, and there was a fireplace in the living room. So, there was, yeah.
That's a good one. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.